outside threats. Then you find out most of Al-Qaeda and its whole history is being funded by these shadowy globalists to menace us and take our liberties. You find out our own mega banks helped create the Soviet Union, helped put Mao Zedong into power, paid $22 billion 3 years ago, and now the factories opened 2 months ago to build in China, in Eastern Europe, in Brazil, and Mexico, the new Cadillac and Volt factories. I mean, this is open deindustrialization, tyranny. The ruling class have gone totally insane. This is a power race by the globalists worldwide to get the most power. GMO, nanotech, robotics. Humans are being replaced. The globalists say this themselves. We're in the middle of the greatest revolution ever, a revolution of evil against humanity.
They say those words?
Yeah, I lost audio. John, you just take us out of here, okay?
Okay. All right. Well, here's the thing. He said he was ranting. Well, better Alex Jones does it than I do, because I'll tell you what, once upon a time, I knew who the enemy was, and frankly, I wanted to fight them. But now, there are no uniforms. There are no flags. It's a shame. Doesn't even leave me anything to drape over the coffins. We'll be back with Alex Jones. This is the Alex Jones Show. I am John B. Wells, a Saturday night guy for Coast to Coast AM, and I hope you will stay with us after we speak with Alex for a little while longer. We will speak with Craig Hulet, and we'll discuss how your friend is close, but your enemy is much closer. That would be the security services. They are watching you closely. We'll be back. Okay, all technical difficulties have been assuaged. Everything's pretty good, and then we're up and running, and we're live now. This is the Alex Jones Show. There's a little bit of a video conundrum, but we still got audio, and that'll do. Mr. Jones, please continue your most singular rant. It's completely okay with me. I feel like ranting myself, but if we both do it, might blow somebody's speakers up.
Well, listen, ranting is certainly needed, and that's why I get so upset, is every time I'm about to go on air, especially on the road, I have more than 20 pages of notes from news I've read the last day, things I want to cover, and then I just get on air, and all I want to say is, wake up. Our government has been taken over by globalist interests who tell us they're taking all our rights to keep us safe from Al-Qaeda and the Russians and all the rest of it, and look, I don't like what the Russian government's doing, but they're not invading my country. They're not taking over my republic. The real threat is the globalists. It is the New World Order that is taking over our society. It is a corporate takeover. And then they say, oh, we've got to have war with the Chinese. You know, the quote, U.S. wants a base in Vietnam, that we had a war that killed millions of Vietnamese, 58,000 Americans, injured 300, 400,000 really bad. And it's just all made up. It's a bunch of powerful interests that are on huge, control freak trips taking over our society. And every day I see news that's off the charts. I mean, last week, I'm just going to list some of these. Bloomberg's going to ban salt, $2,000 fines. Again, that 2,000 number if you salt the food. Pre-salted in New York. He's going to ban above 16-ounce sugar drinks, but not aspartame, not GMO, not all the real stuff that's killing people. Again, they create the crisis, know it, start killing people. We get the sickest people in the world statistically, and now, we'll ban sugar, period. I was reading New Jersey, $1,000 fines. They've passed a law if your dog isn't seat belted. So now I guess my wife, can't have the French bulldog in her lap when we're driving around, when I'm driving the car. I mean, this is the nanny state. First, can't have your kids in the back of the truck on your own property driving around. Now you can't have your dog back there. I go to the beach, and people get in your face if your dog isn't in a life jacket. This nanny state isn't about safety. It's about making us a bunch of ninnies henpecked by the new job creator, which is a bunch of paramilitary police. And again, I'm not against the police, but this isn't the way America used to be. This isn't what freedom is. This is right out of a Kurt Vonnegut dystopic novel. And I want to turn this around. I do not want to be at the mercy of these globalists who I know from their own statements, their own documents, are not benevolent. They are wicked. They are corrupt. And we are seeing this revolution in slavery, in total control. Huge change is upon us. And the globalists are endangering the planet in their race for nanotech, life extension, biotech, genetic engineering, super weapons, superconducting super colliders, cyclotrons like Hadron, where they admit, well, it's a low chance we're going to blow the Earth up with a black hole or a strange look, but we are going to do thousands of tests. You know, I think about the craziness that these people are engaged in, how they're predatory, how it's a total will to power that we're seeing. It's time for humanity to awaken and realize the threat of where we are going. Just driving through Tennessee, we're now in Memphis, and I've got some occultic news for you on the other side, John. I saw everywhere police facing both sides of the highway with giant license plate scanning cameras on top of them. And again, you're like, well, that'll keep people safe, some folks say. It'll stop felons. We've learned they let a lot of the felons and people go. It's really about in the future, if you haven't paid your income taxes, they say you're not going to be able to travel out the country or drive a car, your taxes to the foreign banks. It's about turning off your mobility, just like the no-fly list, no gun buy list. This is mark of the beast stuff, my friend.
Well, it absolutely is, and I think these people would do well to remember that we don't really care how big their apparatus is. Adolf Hitler built a big apparatus. He caused a lot of problems, killed a lot of people, but in the end, he was defeated. Now, if we want to go into who knew who back in those days and how many of those companies are still around and have morphed into something else, that's something else entirely. But I think these people would do well to remember that Americans are very slow to anger, very slow to rise up. But there is a point beyond which it would be a very, very bad idea to push us. I don't know about you, but I gave up my illusions of immortality a long time ago. I'm not suicidal, but I'm not squeamish about a fight. And these guys are asking for it. That's just a personal comment. Doesn't necessarily represent anybody else's opinion, and then again, it might. This is the Alex.
Oh, it represents mine.
This is the Alex Jones Show, and that's why I love you, brother. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, we got microphone power here. Yes, we do. This is the Alex Jones Show. John B. Wells sitting in for and with Alex. And we're just discussing about, what we usually talk about, which is the escalating idiotic power of the police state, and no plans to abate that development in any way, shape, or form. Witness this end justifies the means. And what is this, Alex? The police in Aurora, Colorado, looking for a suspected bank robber, stops every car at an intersection, handcuffs all the adults. I mean, what is this?
Well, we saw this where they had a serial killer in Louisiana a few years ago. So an entire town, they searched the houses without warrants. And again, imagine now, you hear the stories. It's happened in Austin, where I live, Austin, Texas. Someone will put a deer rifle in the back of their car. It always happens in deer season to drive outside town. And they lock down an entire neighborhood and set up checkpoints an hour after the guy already drove out. It's this nanny state idea that, well, the end justifies the means. We found a suspect. They stopped 40 people, put them in handcuffs. There's photos at CBS in Denver. We have those linked in our article at Infowars.com. And the police chief says, the end justifies the means. That's a quote. And he said, we weren't looking for anybody in particular, didn't even know what the suspect looked like, but we found a suspect. A guy had a gun in his car. So now having a gun in your car, they had to say that like, see, the end justifies the means. We didn't find money. This happened yesterday. We don't even know if he's the bank robber, but now, hey, your neighborhood. We think somebody in this neighborhood might be a criminal, so we're going to come to your door and put you in handcuffs. This is a guilty until proven slave. This is the idea of the TSA, outside the 10th Amendment, the 9th Amendment, outside federal jurisdiction, not even sworn bonded. Police, FBI can't go down your pants randomly at a park. How does TSA do it? It's the idea that you're guilty until proven slave, not even guilty until proven innocent, guilty until proven under tyranny. What about the danger of the big government doing this? What about common sense? What about what our forebears told us? This is very, very dangerous. What's your take on this? I mean, imagine you're driving along. I see this all the time. They set up checkpoints. There was a serial killer in California a few months ago. I saw this in the news. So police, night after night, on a major highway near where homeless people had been killed. I think it's like 4 of them now, being stabbed and robbed. Folks can pull this up. We played the newscast here. With a straight face, the police just randomly set up checkpoints during drive time and searched thousands of vehicles, saying, well, we think the serial killer might drive by here sometimes. So if you're driving down the highway and there's ever been a murder in the area, the police now are going to pull you over and say, we're going to search your car. You might be the murderer. I mean, this is over the top. And this is all under federal grants, John.
Oh, yeah.
They have checkpoints all over the country taking blood. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. I understand that they have already ordered tens of thousands of, level 3 bulletproof booths to distribute along the highways and byways and freeways of America, with even equipped with stop-and-go lights on them. So, I mean, it's coming. This character, Oates, just said, the law is clear that investigative detentions are lawful for a reasonable period of time. And the facts and circumstances were the suspect was in one of 19 cars. Well, it's a good thing nobody was going into cardiac arrest and needed to get to the hospital in one of those 19 cars while they're waving their guns around looking for a robbery suspect. To me, it's just nauseating. And the message has got to be to people that you're not safe. As a matter of fact, the more measures that are taken to make you safe, the less safe you are. But that's
statistically true. I mean, look, take the big nanny states like Chicago and New York that are the model of the rest of the world now. This is what the globalists want to do if they can have their way. And it's no guns, giant crime rates, paramilitary police everywhere that turn into mafia. You can look at it across the board. When in the U.S., same number in England. When the state has foster children, they're 7 times more likely to be sexually abused, 5 times more likely to be abused physically, non-sexually, and on average, 69%, it's the same in England and here, are put on psychotropic drugs, and an average of 7. Just type that in. More than 2/3 of foster children on psychotropics. Again, when the state has its way, total hell is released. And it's here. So the threat is the state. And if people don't believe that, you don't believe in George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John B. Wells.
Well, what country had the lowest crime rate in the history of the world? That would be Nazi Germany. You could wander out of a bar absolutely, completely inebriated, drunker than Cooter Brown, money bulging out of your pockets, and nobody would lay a hand on you. However, what society what societal paradigm were you living in that place? It's I don't know, Alex. I've worried about this and talked about it for years. I've spent so many years just being an observer, which is why finally I decided, I may not be able to beat them, but I bet I can let them know that they've been in one. And you just reach a point in your life where you have to sing out about this. I mean, it's not exactly like any of us are getting, rich. It's not like, doing this sort of work, all we're doing is asking for it, really. And it's not as though if somebody came to you and said, hey, I'm with the New World Order, and if you'll play ball and just kind of put a good spin on what we're trying to do here, we'll fatten your bank account up real good. It's like, I don't want your money. I don't.
Well, I've actually been approached like that, but somebody like yourself, you don't toot your own horn, but the biggest movies, TV, commercials, you're a top voice talent, and you certainly had nothing but things to lose by going public in the last few years very eloquently. But again, that's the illusion. You have everything to lose if we don't beat this tyranny. And that's why finally there's such a big awakening happening, and why so many people, even in mainstream media, are waking up and kind of rebelling at the same time, not because they were sold out, but because they believe the hype. They believe the propaganda. So that wake-up call is happening, and everybody, not just a George Norrie a decade ago, not just yourself many years ago,